We're awaiting what could be the most explosive public impeachment testimony so far. Just an hour from now, we'll hear from EU Ambassador, that's Gordon Sondland.
He spoke directly and frequently to the president on Ukraine, and he's already admitted he told Ukrainian officials they would not get U.S. military aid unless they announced investigations the president wanted. Yesterday, we heard from 4 witnesses, and all 4 raised concerns about the White House's Ukraine policy.
I found the July 25th phone call unusual because, in contrast to other presidential calls I had observed, it involved discussion of what appeared to be a domestic political matter.
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was probably an element of shock that maybe in certain regards my worst fear of how our Ukraine policy could play out was playing out.
Asking a foreign government to investigate a domestic political rival is inappropriate, would you not?
It's not what we recommended the president discuss.
The allegations against Vice President Biden are self-serving and not credible.
And yet the president celebrated yesterday's testimony from Tim Morrison and Kurt Volker, who told the committee they did not have evidence of a quid pro quo.
Pam Bondi is a special advisor to the president. This is her first interview since she started on Monday. Bondi was previously Florida's Attorney General. She joins us from Washington. Ms. Bondi, good morning. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thank you, Anthony.
As we mentioned, Ambassador Sondland is a key witness this morning. Initially, he testified there was no link between aid for the Ukraine and an investigation into the Bidens, but later said his memory was refreshed and that there was a quid pro quo. How do you explain his change in testimony?
Well, we're not going to get ahead of the testimony. The testimony is going to speak for itself today. You know, every day during this testimony, what's everyone been saying? Explosive testimony, going to take down the President of the United States. That has not happened, and it's not going to happen. You know, being a career prosecutor and an attorney general and a lawyer of all things, the most important thing to know is that this is our Constitution. This is the most serious job that the House of Representatives can do, to try to impeach a sitting president. Yet what have we seen so far? Absolutely nothing. The witnesses yesterday did nothing to hurt the president, and we believe that nothing will happen going forward. You know, this all started in a bunker with Adam Schiff and Democrats. Republicans weren't allowed in the door. In fact, they were kicked out of the hearings. Hearsay was admissible, and that's just what's continuing on and on. If you got a ticket for jaywalking, you would have more rights than the president's been afforded. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
I want to point out that we've heard from career diplomats, nonpartisans who've served multiple presidents, and some people who were brought into work for the Trump administration specifically. So I think their concerns are significant, and it sounds like you're going to stick by whatever Gordon Sondland has to say this morning. But the testimony that has already been released regarding him suggests that he does say there was a quid pro quo. So I think a key question here now is he's bragged about having a direct line to the president. He's bragged about being in touch with the president. The president says he barely knew him. So what's the truth?
Well, let's let the testimony come out today, and let's see what the Democrats ask him and what the Republicans ask him. And
does the president know Gordon Sondland well? Are they in frequent contact? Have they been?
Well, we're going to hear what Gordon Sondland has to say today. He's ambassador
what does the president
for
say?
a short while.
What does the president say?
The president, he was ambassador to the Ukraine. He is ambassador to the Ukraine, and the president knows him. The president does not know him very well. He's a short-term ambassador. Of course he knows him. He's the ambassador. But, you know, let's go back to the 2 witnesses that you talked about, Vindman and Williams. What did they say based on the transcript that, by the way, other people have heard? The transcript, read the transcript is very important because the transcript speaks for itself.
It's not a transcript, I want to point out. It's a call summary, and there's been some dispute about whether everything was included. I want to get to the president. They said it was
substantially accurate. They both said it was substantially accurate.
I want to get to the facts. I think they're very important. The American people want to hear them as well. And somebody who's got all the facts in his head right now is President Trump himself. He said he's going to strongly consider testifying. Would you support that? And when could it happen?
And how likely do you think it is, Ms. Bondi, that the president will actually testify?
Good morning, Gayle.
Good morning.
The president, I know why he wants to testify. Of course he wants to testify because he did nothing wrong. But do I think it's likely he's going to testify? Probably not, because no one would advise him to testify because this is a sham court. It really is. What they're telling him, come in and prove your innocence. Is that the system in which we live now? I believe things will be equal and fair if it goes to the Senate, when it goes to the Senate. But no, the president should not testify. I know exactly why he wants to, though, but no human being should have to come in and prove their innocence ever.
Ms. Bondi, is the concern that the president, if he were to testify, he'd have to take an oath to tell the truth? Is that problematic?
Absolutely not. The president has done nothing wrong, and the president would love to come in and take an oath and tell the truth. However, when you have a one-sided court where they're telling him, come in and prove your innocence. You know, Tony, if you got a jaywalking ticket walking across the street in New York, which I know you don't do, you would have more rights than the President of the United States has been afforded. It's really been outrageous. It's a sham what they've been trying to do. Yet the President has continued running our country every day. And every day when this is going on, every day these hearings, what are we missing? USMCA. How
Ms.
important
Bondi?
that is. Drug pricing, everything else.
Ms. Bondi, I want to go back
Sure.
to Ambassador Sondland because he's testifying today again. He has bragged that he talked to the president whenever he wanted. Is that accurate?
Well, he clearly had conversations with the President of the United States. He's ambassador to Ukraine. But as far as aid getting held up, because aid was released, and we're very proud of that. Lethal aid to Ukraine, much more than the last administration, without any investigation being open. We're very, very proud of that. And, you know, they're saying he held aid back because of all these different reasons. That's not why. Aid was released well before the deadline. It was released on September 15th, and a lot of things were going on in our world then. And, you know, have you seen the letter that Ron Johnson wrote about the aid being released? Back on August 31st, Ron Johnson says in a letter that the president talked to him and said, good things are going to happen. I think you're going to be very happy with what's going to happen regarding the aid.
Ms. Bondi, before you
go ahead, Gayle.
How is the president's health? We know that he said he was getting a jump start on his physical. I don't know any man that goes early to a physical. Can you just tell us how he's doing? How is his health?
Okay, first of all, going early to a physical was getting it out of the way because he had a day on his calendar where he could get to Walter Reed. I was with the president yesterday, and I can tell you directly from him, his health is excellent. He did not suffer a stroke. He did not suffer a heart attack, not even close. That is 100% fake news, and thank you for asking, Gayle. His health is wonderful.
All right, Pam Bondi.
Pam Bondi, thank you so much for being with us.
We hope to see you again.
Thank you all. You
will.
will. Thank
discuss.
CBS News will bring you this morning's public hearing and a special report. Nora O'Donnell will anchor from Washington. We expect testimony to begin at 9 Eastern.